Welcome to Monday Morning Quarterback. This is your boy RJ Cash recapping NFL weekend along with college football. Notre Dame choked one away. Did you win? Did you lose? We're going to get into that. We're going to look ahead to Monday Night Football. We got a huge doubleheader tonight. Tampa Bay at Houston. Houston laying 2.5. The LA Chargers at the Las Vegas Raiders. Chargers up to 3.5, just ticked up. Let's hop into it again. BreakTheBoardSports.com, helping you become a better handicapper. That's what we're about. Or you can sign up for our picks, $1.37 a day. But let's hop right into it. Favorites 8-6 on the week in the NFL. Run down through Green Bay Packers Thursday night. We had the Packers money line, gave it out. The score really wasn't as close as what the score said it was. Green Bay really dominated that game start to finish and really manhandled Washington. Like I've always said, Dan Quinn, just not a very good coach, and it showed up there. And now I've always been a Cliff Kingsbury fan from an offensive coordinator standpoint, but I think it really shows how he's starting to struggle. So definitely want to watch that as it goes on. Opening lines for the next week, the Las Vegas Raiders will head to Washington. 1 o'clock game. That's very hard on the body for the Raiders. Right now, Washington laying 5.5. You're over under 47.5 at FanDuel. Ravens pummeled the Browns 41-17. Dylan Gabriel got a little bit of run at quarterback, which is interesting that he got the nod over Shador, but whatever. Some news coming out. Apparently, the Ravens wanted to draft Shador in the 5th round. He said thanks, but no thanks, because he knew that he wouldn't be able to play in front of Lamar Jackson. So that's really interesting. Drop your comments down there. Let me know what you think. Cleveland will host that Green Bay Packer team we just talked about. Packers, 8.5-point favorites. You're over under 42.5. I mean, quite honestly, that's got to be a survivor pick. All three of ours were on the Ravens this week. Eked through. Not eked through. That was a joke. But when you look at the Packers at Cleveland, Packers are going to win this game. So Moneyline Parlay is live. 6-point teaser getting them down to 2.5 is live. 7-point teaser getting them down to 1.5 is live. So the Packers, I think, are a great bet. I mean, doesn't take a rocket science to figure that out. We'll get more into that in Thursday's show. Again, Thursdays and Fridays we release handicapping helpers for the NFL and college football for the week there is coming up. New England Patriots at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins had them money line, had a touchdown called back. Ashan steps out of bounds. And then after there, Miami just implodes. Miami is your Thursday night football game on the road at Buffalo. Right now, Buffalo a 12.5-point favorite, 49.5. And this Miami Dolphins team is just an absolute mess. New England, they will host Pittsburgh in an intriguing matchup. Pittsburgh laying 1.5 on the road, over under 44.5. We had Pittsburgh money line this week. That did not get home as Seattle dominated them 31-17. Seahawks 17 points in the fourth quarter, which really blew that open. 14-14 game, and then the wheels just fell apart there. I don't think, again, it was just a bad quarter by Pittsburgh, and everything went right for Seattle. Next week, again, Seattle could be a good survivor play for you. They host the Saints. Spencer Rattler yet to win a game in the NFL. Saints go on the road. Right now, Seattle laying 7.5. Your over-under is 41.5 in that one. So definitely, again, maybe you look at Seattle and Green Bay. High juice if you did actually, you could do a 7-point teaser minus $1.40. Get Green Bay down to 1.5, Seattle at a pick. I think that's pretty good value. I think that's something you should definitely look to hammer home. Again, breaktheboardsports.com. We're here every day with shorts, baseball, football. We have a baseball show coming out here in a little bit. Monday morning quarterback is typically live at 10:30 on the East Coast. Same thing for Thursday for the kickoff tailgate show. But however, run a little bit behind today, so apologize to you guys. In San Francisco, they topped New Orleans 26-21 behind 3 touchdowns from Mac Jones. Return of the Mac. Oh, my God. Niners at home against the Cardinals. Niners laying 1.5, over under 43.5. Those Cardinals we just mentioned, they beat Carolina 27-22. We gave out Carolina +7. Cash there at the backdoor cover. So thank you, Bryce Young. You had me nervous there for a little while. Denver, they get beat by the Colts in a very controversial game. And not because I had the Broncos money line, but because that's just a Bush League call. It really, really is. If you're going to call that, call Philly hopping off sides on the tush push. I mean, let's be honest. A guy jumping, and even when they showed it, it wasn't that egregious. To give the Colts another chance from 15 yards in, I mean, that's something. Forget the bet. Forget the bet. It's something that the reality is that could cost a playoff spot for one of these teams down the road, tiebreakers and all that. You know, they're both going to be in the hunt. I just think that was a bad beat. But the Colts get by the Broncos 29-28. Broncos will head to the Chargers next week. Chargers will be laying 2.5. You're over under 45.5. As always, y'all that have tuned in, you'll get used to hearing my dogs. Duke the Pitbull will bark at anything that moves. But if you walk towards him, he'll run the other way. You know, kind of like Cincinnati Bengals, because Joe Burrow running the other way. Toe has him out the rest of the year. Bengals get home past the Jags 31-27. Bengals next week on the road at Minnesota. Minnesota, I totally had that one pegged wrong. It was more of play against Raheem Morris, but I did say, as much as I'm not a Raheem Morris fan, Falcons are loaded on the offensive side of the ball, and I love the two-head monster with Algier and Bijan Robinson in the backfield there. So the Falcons 22-6 over the Vikings. Vikings at home again next week. They'll be laying 3.5 at home to the Bengals. With Joe Burrow out, it'll be Browning at quarterback. Vikings minus 3.5. You're over under 42.5 at FanDuel. Those Colts, we were talking about that with Denver. Colts will be laying 3.5 on the road at Tennessee. Over under 43.5. Tennessee fell to the Rams 33-19. Rams on the road opened up 4.5-point dogs at Philly, down to 3.5. A lot of sharps hopped on the Rams at 4.5. I was one of them. They were a possession away from beating Philly. I know Philly is 2-0 and they beat the Chiefs, which there's questions about them. And that Dallas win does not look so impressive. I like the Rams. Actually, I'd sprinkle a little Rams money line plus 150. I think they're live here. I think the Rams have showed they're a better football team than the Eagles, quite honestly. Their defense is better. Jalen Hurts, though I like him, he's no Matt Stafford. I just think all around the Rams are a better football team, and I think the Eagles are ripe for the picking. Definitely love the Rams plus 4.5. Those are gone now. I would still grab them at 3.5. But again, I would sprinkle a little bit on that money line because I do feel like you're going to get great value there. Bills, we talked about them laying 12.5 Thursday night. We'll preview that game on Thursday. But the Bills 30-10 over the Jets. Jets are a mess. They're catching 7 at Tampa Bay next week. Over under 44.5 in that game. Jacksonville, we talked about them falling to the Bengals 31-27. Jags will be back home laying 1.5 in a key matchup at home against the Texans. You're over 43.5. Again, we got a big play on the Texans tonight. Money line. CJ Stroud and company can ill afford to go down 0-2 heading into that matchup with the Jags. Really like them there. Bears, we had them. They lost. They got blown out way more than I thought. And what was crazy is this was a 14-14 game at one point. But the Lions pull away 52-21. Bears next week laying 1.5 at home to the Cowboys. You're over under 50.5. Pretty wild that the Bears are the favored. So far, 97% of the money on Dallas. Everybody hopping on Dallas in the early going. Giants and Cowboys that we just mentioned goes to overtime. Dallas, 4 overtimes actually. Dallas wins 40-37. Dallas there, just a mess there at the Bears. I got to be honest. Don't ask me why. Gut feeling. Bears money line here, minus $1.15. I have no semblance of why. Maybe my thought process will change. I just don't think Dallas is that good. Listen, early in the year, it's very important to, again, and more NFL every week, really, you can't get caught up in recency bias. It happens so much, and I'm telling you, you'll just get burnt if you bet off of what you saw with your eyes the week before. The NFL changes so much week to week, matchup to matchup. Giants, we had them, gave them out as a double unit plus 4.5 in this one. It was the biggest landslide bet of the week. Cowboys, Giants only took in 8% of the handle. So that was crazy. Anytime that happens, you might as well bet the dog. I don't care how ugly it is. Just bet it. Don't watch it. Roll away from it. But the Giants next Sunday night host the 0-2 Kansas City Chiefs. Right now, Kansas City laying 5.5 on the road. You're over under 44.5. And that Giants defense that I thought was going to be so good got shredded, absolutely shredded. And now I got to wonder, can they get pressure on Pat Mahomes? The Chiefs, they fell 20-17. It was really, that game was all over the place as well. If Kelsey catches that touchdown, I think that game changes tremendously. Eagles snuck by right there. So, it looks like the Chiefs, they pulled it close late, but Chiefs really had control of that game. That interception that Kelsey should have caught really changed the outcome, in my opinion. I felt like the Chiefs were going to cash there as the Eagles were taking in 78% of the bets and 76% of the handle. I really felt like that was going to be a cash for the Chiefs. But the Chiefs now 0-2. Pat Mahomes losing 3 straight for the first time in his career. Again, just looking for a value play. If you took the Seahawks Chiefs money line minus $1.30 next week, that I put in earlier myself. I'm not going to lay 5.5 with the Chiefs, but I do think the Chiefs get by the Giants. And actually, Seattle, they're going to get all 3 of my survivor plays. I like to try to split them up. I split them up week 1 I split them up week 1, week 2. I have them all on the Ravens. Week 3, I got to go all Seattle. I mean, if they lose to the Saints, I don't deserve to be in the contest anyway. But the Lions, going back to them, they'll be catching 5.5 at Baltimore on Monday Night Football. Your over-under in that one will be 51.5. Let's get into tonight's games. Tampa Bay at Houston. Houston laying 2.5, over-under 42.5 right now at FanDuel. 65% of the tickets are on Tampa. 35% of the tickets are on the Texans. 70% of the handle, though, on the Texans, as well as 30% of the handle on Tampa Bay. Remember, we always talk about that. When it's ticket counts higher, but the money is lower, that's typically a Joe's line. The public, other way around, usually goes to the way of the Sharps. We're on the Texans here, money line. This is a must-win for CJ Stroud and company. Now, you can find that as low as $1.30 at DraftKings, up to $1.44 at FanDuel. So a couple different ways to look at, but I just think Houston's the play here. Chargers at the Raiders. Chargers laying 3.5. You're over under 46.5. 71% of tickets on the Chargers compared to 29% of tickets on the Raiders. And it's about the same when it comes to the handle. 67% of the handle on Justin Herbert and the Bolts. 33% of the handle on Geno and the Raiders. You're over under 46.5. 61% of tickets and 75% of the money is on the over. 39% of tickets is on the under, with 25% of the handle on the under. And look, both these games, Bucks and Texans, huge look to the over. The over is getting bet in both games. The Tampa Bay Houston one, 42.5, intrigues me a little bit more because I can definitely see 21-17, 23-17, something like that. I don't think Baker Mayfield's going to be able to have the success. Obviously, he still doesn't have Godwin. They're still beat up a little bit there. Tampa has gone over the total 11 of their last 16 games. Would explain why a lot of people are hitting that over. Tampa Bay 7-2 straight up their last 9, but they're 0-5 straight up their last 5 against the Texans. Tampa Bay, though, 4-1 straight up on the road, including that road win at Atlanta last week. Houston 8-3 straight up their last 11 at home. They've been very, very good at home. And when Houston is playing a team from the NFC, 5 of their last 6 have went under the total. Again, when you look at Tampa Bay, I think they're going to have a hard time throwing the football. Houston arguably could have the best defense in the league, but it comes down to, can they get CJ Stroud going? They've really didn't like what I saw last week from the Texans. They really struggled. These two teams hooked back up 2 years ago in November in Houston. Houston 39-37 got the win there over Tampa Bay. Now, Houston, the first half spread is 1.5. Houston has covered that first half spread 14 of the last 20. If you have been betting that, you'd be up 7.15 units, about a 31% return on your investment. They're 14-8 to their team total under over the last 22. That would put you up 3.6 units. Tampa Bay, they're the comeback kids. Second half money line, which right now Tampa Bay's plus 110 at FanDuel. Second half money line, Tampa Bay 8-2 over their last 10. That would have put you up 8.77 units, 50% return on your investment. Tampa Bay, first half game total over. So the game total over is 21 right now at Caesars, FanDuel, 21. 13-6 the last 19 games. So 13 games it's went over, 13-6 record there. If you've been following that, you'd be up 7.15 units, about 32% return on your investment. Again, I think in this one, you got to look to the Texans. The over-under, I know there's a lot of stuff pointing to the over, but I feel like they're baiting you there. Again, when so much of the bets and handles going one way, not saying that doesn't win every once in a while, but more times than not, if the books need something, they get what they need. Very, very rarely does it go the way of the public. They don't build casinos off the public winning, okay? Chargers and the Raiders hopping into this one. Chargers 4-1 against the spread their last 5. They've went over the total in 6 straight games. Chargers 4-1 straight up their last 5. Now, head-to-head, Chargers 6-3 ATS against their Raiders. But the under has cashed in 6 of the Raiders' last 7 games. They're just 3-11 straight up over their last 14. But I throw that stout out the window because Pete Carroll has changed the culture. They have Geno Smith. Brock Bowers is a beast. And Alshon Jeffrey really changes their running game and how they do things. The under has cashed between these two teams 4 of the last 6. So, again, that over-under that people are looking at and hopping on, remember we said 61% of bets, 75% handle on the over, 46.5. I think you should look to the under. Look, the Chargers defense was amazing against the Chiefs. The Raiders, they locked down the Patriots. Now, how good are the Patriots? I get you there. I'm not saying the Patriots are the creme de la creme. I just think that both of these defenses, this is a division rivalry. This game is going to be tough. It's going to be one in the trenches. I think when you saw Jim Harbaugh come out and throw the ball all over the yard against the Chiefs, I don't think you'll see that. I think you'll see very much him and Pete Carroll run and play defense against each other. Now, last year, Chargers won both of these matchups 34-20 and 22-10. And I think when you look at that, again, the Pete Carroll has to carry some weight. I like the Raiders plus the 3.5 here, and I like teasing the Raiders plus 10.5 in a 7-point teaser with the under 53.5. So those are going to be the two things right on. Texans money line, and then teasing the Raiders plus 10.5 with the under 56.5. Under 53.5. Those are the ways we're going to rock and roll here with the Chargers and the Raiders. Chargers, they've hit the first half money line 15 of their last 20 games. Very impressive stat. They're minus 150 in the first half tonight. If you've been following that, again, 15-5 for the first half money line, the last 20 for the Chargers. That would put you up 9.5 units, about a 28% return on your investment. Raiders, we talked about first half game total over. Your first half over set at 23.5 at DraftKings, 11-7 to the over, 4.05 units, 20% return on your investment. Same thing with the Chargers. They've hit that first half game total over half the time, 10 of their last 20. Now, the Chargers, 14-8 ATS their last 22, put you up 6.3 units, 26% return on your investment. So definitely some good nuggets there for the NFL. Hopping over to college football, man, struggle. Notre Dame did everything to give that game away. Texas A&M gets the win, 41-40. Just an absolute meltdown there. The missed extra point, then the 4th and 11, letting Texas A&M score the touchdown on that was just a mess. Somehow Notre Dame winds up being able to still be in the top 25 despite 2 losses. Don't really understand that, but they got there. Kansas State, I'm out on that team too. They've burned me twice now this year. They lose 23-17 to Arizona. It was funny. Arizona was up 17-3. K-State comes right out, gets 2 touchdowns. I'm like, all right, well, here we go. Not so much. New Mexico, they topple UCLA 35-10. That got Deshaun Foster showed the door, which it should. UCLA 0-3, and the fact they couldn't beat New Mexico at home, I don't think they find another win the rest of the year. UCLA might go winless, which is pretty incredible. Alabama 38-14 over Wisconsin. Clemson falls to Georgia Tech, last second field goal. Georgia Tech hits it 24-21. Clemson, just an absolute meltdown. All I heard was how good they were going to be, how Cade Klubnik was going to win the Heisman. I didn't buy into the Klubnik Heisman, but I looked at Clemson and said, okay, they can win the ACC, and if you win the ACC, you're in the discussion. But just a total implode by that team. Oregon tops Northwestern 34-14. We had Northwestern plus 28. Got the cash there, so that was good. Heard a lot of sharps on Temple. I guess they were drunk the night before and decided to bet Temple because Oklahoma rolled 42-3. Oklahoma's got that big matchup with Auburn this week. We'll get into those lines in a minute and run down through. I also heard a bunch of people saying, take that North Texas Washington State under. Good luck there. That went over the 57.5 with 69 points being scored. Pitt at West Virginia took overtime, but we had West Virginia plus 7.5. West Virginia runs outright. We get the cash. Texas Tech, they beat Oregon State 45-14. Big one this week. Texas Tech getting 3.5 at Utah. To me, the best two teams in the Big 12 right now. They're tied atop the Big 12. We're going to see what happens. It's going to be a great game. I'm breaking that game down tonight. Can't wait to get into it. I have a lean out the gate, but I want to do the work and see where it takes us. But definitely got a gut feeling on that game just off the jump. I love the line where it's at. Georgia, they get by Tennessee 44-41. They're not singing Rocky Top now. Tennessee had every chance to win that game. Blow it. Georgia right now, a 4-point favorite over Alabama at home in 2 weeks. Can't wait to get into that one. Can't wait to break that game down. That game's going to mean so much, not just for the SEC, but for the college football playoff. USC gets by Purdue 33-17, beat them by 16. That means that plus 21.5 we had with Purdue cashes. Miami 49-12. I told everybody Miami laying 17.5 after South Florida beat Boise State in Florida. It's a setup. What happened? You got set up if you took the 17.5. Miami rolled there against them. A couple other games got into. Virginia Tech fires their head coach after blowing the lead to Vanderbilt, then have a home game against Old Dominion and literally get blown out 45-26. Virginia Tech has a new head coach, and that program is so far gone from the Frank Beamer days. I don't know if that program will ever get back where it needs to be anytime soon. Just a mess. Ole Miss and Arkansas had a thriller. Ole Miss 41-35. They covered the 4-point spread. Big games coming up for both of those schools in 2 weeks. Arkansas hosts Notre Dame. Ole Miss hosts LSU. Going to be some great games there. LSU tops Florida 20-10. Now Florida, they're in a whole lot of trouble. LSU covers that spread, but now Florida goes to Miami. They're catching 7.5. Can't wait to break down that game for you Wednesday. Vanderbilt, look out. Here they come. 31-7 over South Carolina, crushing them. Tulane beats Duke 34-27, and somehow Duke's a 2.5-point favorite at home to NC State. Can't wait to get into that one. Air Force at Utah State. Utah State was catching 4.5. We took them. Guess what? They cashed outright 49-30. Minnesota at Cal. Cal catching 3. We had them. No problem. 27-14 Cal. And Stanford plus 14.5. We took them. Guess what? Won outright 30-20. Man, it's easy to say this hindsight, but I wish I'd had a money line parlay with Stanford, Cal, and Utah State. Woo, doggy. That would have been a good one. Now, let's move into next week in the college football slate. Let's look at some betting splits and where lines are. Again, it's early. It's Monday. Thursday night, Rice at Charlotte. Rice is a 2.5-point favorite. Friday, Tulsa, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, 13.5-point favorite. Also Friday night, Iowa at Rutgers. Iowa laying 2.5. Now, the bets are about even. 60% of bets early on Iowa, 40% on Rutgers. But the handle, 71% on the Scarlet Knights at home, 60% of tickets, but only 29% of the handle on Iowa. I'll be interested to see where that line takes us. Let's highlight a couple big games. SMU at TCU. Sonny Dykes playing his own old team. TCU laying 7 Right now, TCU's got 92% of the handle, 8% of the handle to SMU. Clemson, can they finally get back on track? They're at home laying 17.5 to Syracuse. And right now, Syracuse getting all the bets and all the handles. 75% of ticket count, 80% of the handle. Same thing, the away team getting all the tickets and handle in this one. Maryland catching 8.5 at Wisconsin. Can't believe Wisconsin's laying 8.5 to anybody. Texas Tech, Utah laying 3.5 again. That's a big one. Arkansas, is this a sandwich spot? You're on the road to Ole Miss. You got Notre Dame at home next week, and tucked in the middle is this really good team that could get a spot in the college football playoff. Is that group of four. Memphis catching 7.5 at home. Early I like Memphis off the bat again. Haven't did the work, but I like it. Oregon State at Oregon. This one opened up 34.5. It's already up to 35.5 with all the cheddar coming in on the Ducks. But remember, I know this is the Civil War. I know this is a rivalry. I'm aware of all that. But Oregon was on the road at Northwestern, and where they go next week? Next week, they're at the whiteout at Penn State. Are you really that worried when you know you're going to beat a Beaver team that sucks? I don't care about Civil War or not. This game's going to be over in the first half. I think Oregon State could be live for a backdoor cover. Want to do the work, but just doing the math, can Oregon get to like 17 points if they can? Even if they give up 52, they're in good shape. I just don't know how much Oregon's going to want to pour it on if they get a lead early. I think Dan Lanning knows. He knows that Penn State game is everything to Oregon right now. That could catapult Oregon into the first or second spot in the country and really put them in the driver's seat, not just for the Big Ten, but for the college football playoff. So can't wait to dive into that one. Biggest game of the weekend, maybe Auburn at Oklahoma. Oklahoma laying 6.5, and right now 84% of the tickets, 90% of the money on Oklahoma. I'll tell you right now, I would find a money line partner to dance with Oklahoma. Oklahoma's going to win this game. I have no faith in Hugh Freeze going down to Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is sneaky good. They are sneaky good. They are no joke. Brent Venables has them playing tough. They might have a Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback. The Sooners, tough matchup. Tulane at Ole Miss. Ole Miss, another one. They had Arkansas last week. Barn burner. We just talked about it. Now they got LSU next week. Tulane's a good, solid football team here. Can't wait to dive in. Thursday, we're going to hop in, go over this game. But Tulane could be live here. Don't laugh. I know Ole Miss is 11.5-point favorite, but Tulane may give them all they want and more. Michigan opened up a 1.5-point favorite at Nebraska. Right now they're laying 2.5. I got to tell you, the thing that concerns me here for the Wolverines, and I know everybody's going to be on the Wolverines, and they are, 74% of tickets, 60% of the handle. I expect that to go up and up and up. I'll be interested if the books don't touch 3, though. And I think they're going to keep it at 2.5. And here's why. I think the books and the odds makers feel very confident about leaving that at 2.5 and letting the whole world jump on Michigan because they know what I think I know, which is Matt Rule can outcoach Sherrod Moore with his eyes closed. Michigan could go down. I watched that Michigan team, and you might say, well, they just won 60-something to 3 over Central Michigan. The Michigan game where they hosted New Mexico showed me a lot. Then they went on the road to Oklahoma. I think this Michigan team isn't as good as we think. I know Underwood's got a lot of talent. I know Michigan always has a very good defense. I'm not saying Michigan's not a good team. Not saying that. I just don't think they should be laying points on the road to Nebraska. And obviously, Dylan Raiola, that's where it comes. Like, how's he going to play? Which guy are we going to get? You know what I mean? He thinks he's Pat Mahomes, but are we ever going to see him play like Pat Mahomes? So a lot get into Thursday. Again, breaktheboardsports.com. We'll have notes on all these games up. Kansas laying 11.5 at home to West Virginia. Missouri laying 13.5 at home to South Carolina. My, how has South Carolina fallen? Boise State will be laying 10 on the road to Air Force. We talked about that Miami and that Florida Gators game. That's going to be a great one. ABC primetime Saturday night, Miami laying 7.5. Your over-under sets at 51.5. 64% of tickets already on the over, but only 25% of the handle on the over. I think the under is going to be the way to look to in that game. I think both those defenses will be stout. Two other good games Saturday night, Illinois at Indiana. Indiana up to a 4.5-point favorite. They're getting all the handle right now, 73% of the handle on the Hoosiers, 27% on the Fighting Illini. You're over under 52.5, and it's getting pounded to the over. 82% of the ticket count, 90% of the handle going to the over for the Fighting Illini. Arizona State at Baylor. Baylor laying 2.5. They're taking 76% of the tickets, 86% of the handle, and 8% of the handle going to the under, 60.5. 92% of the handle going to the over there. This one, I can't wait to break it down. I had an early synopsis when I first saw the line. I want to dig into it a little bit more, but we're definitely going to have a play on this Sun Devils Bears game. The Apple Cup, Washington, going to Washington State, opened up 21, down to 19.5. 74% of the tickets, 93% of the handle on the Huskies. Cougars not very good, but this is a rivalry. Be very, very careful. Cal laying 12.5 on the road to San Diego State. Cal taking 71% of the handle compared to 29% to the Aztecs. But here's the big one. 97% of the handle to Cal, only 3% to San Diego State. Michigan State at USC. USC laying 17.5. This one opened up 15.5. USC been hopped on already. 76% of the handle to the Trojans compared to 24% to Michigan State. And then the nightcap, we always get that Hawaii midnight game. 61% of tickets to Fresno State. 66% of the handle compared to 39% of the handle going to the Rainbow Warriors of Hawaii. Again, tonight we're on the Houston Texans money line, minus $1.44 at FanDuel. You can find as low as $1.30 at DraftKings. And then that two-team 7-point teaser, minus 140. Raiders plus 10.5 and under 53.5. Can't wait to get into games. Again, look for our MLB show coming out today. My name's RJ Cash. Visit us, breaktheboardsports.com. Click that like button. Appreciate it. Happy handicapping to you, and God bless.